Wherefore, Series 2, Episode 1. All night the jazz cyclist rides the roads. At 10 past the hour he passes beneath the bedroom window of Cassiopeia Jenkins. She has never seen the jazz cyclist, but feels sure it must be a man. Bath Road is well lit at night. The jazz cyclist is nothing but shadow, with a longer shadow behind it. As the cyclist passes, the sound of jazz fills the night. It is invariably the kind of jazz Cassiopeia most hates, the sort that is all noodling and no tune. Nothing you could hope to remember, much less hum. Cassiopeia Jenkins likes to hum. She considers this to be one of her many whimsical and charming qualities. In this way, there is similarity between her and the jazz cyclist. Both of them are in no doubt about the innate goodness of the annoying things they do. There are worse qualities to have, of course. There is also no doubt in Cassiopeia's mind that if the jazz cyclist came by every night, she would have been out there in the road with a plank of wood in her hands by now. She can go as long as a week without hearing him. When he comes by, it is always 10 past the hour, but there is no knowing when he will start or stop. There are a great many things she can sleep through, but he is not one of those things. The faintest sound of jazz in the distance disturbs her at once. He comes from the town, heading out, passing under her window. She tracks the jazz annoyance as the volume rises and decreases in his coming and going away. Sometimes she lies in bed frowning at the noise. Sometimes she gets up, opens the curtain, watches for the passing shadow, and frowns at the window instead, for variety. On occasion she wakes anyway and listens to the silence where there is no jazz, and hates him for that because it is clearly his fault. It wouldn't be so bad if he played something with a tune, something that did not rattle her brain quite so much. Thanks to the jazz cyclist, she is awake every hour until the passing at 10 past 5 in the morning. Then she sleeps until noon. When she wakes up, there are 17 messages from her brother asking where she is. Cassiopeia is not entirely sorry to have stood him up. It is raining heavily in a cold, sleety way. Last time she saw him, they argued. They were bound to argue again this morning. He will not agree to seeing a doctor, a counsellor, or any kind of psychological expert, and yet he insists that at night he becomes a hill. Cassiopeia is uncomfortably aware that at night Stonehouse becomes a hill. She has seen this, but cannot see any way in which the strange phenomena could have anything to do with her ridiculous brother. But then he always has been this way. Everything in his world revolves around him, including her. Cassiopeia has never wanted to orbit Orion, has spent her whole life fighting it. 17 phone messages, each more shrill than the last, because she did not show up when he had told her to. He would not have cared if she was ill. It would just be her making a fuss and letting him down. She heats leftovers for lunch, then has a long, deep bath and plans what to do with her client in the afternoon. She has left several iceberg lettuces to go off in the fridge, and today might be the day for them. They are sludgy and disgusting, but pose no real health risks. She will have him wear just a lace apron and rubber gloves, and he can clean the fridge for her. There will have to be more to it than that, of course. He is a challenging client. Most of her regulars are easily amused and take little effort. Put on the high heels, get out the switch, find them a cleaning job, and pile on the insults. There is a High Court judge from Oxfordshire who drives to her home every second Thursday in the month. A high-ranking civil servant who she suspects does something at GCHQ comes over on Mondays. There are a couple of businessmen who turn up when not in London, and the odd irregulars. These usually come to her by recommendation. Cassiopeia is discreet. She only works afternoons, and she never has to clean her own house. Her neighbours believe she is a reflexologist. Not that they are the sort of people who strike her as likely to be bothered if they knew. Stroud is good like that. When Cassiopeia is especially annoyed with her brother, she imagines telling him what she really does for a living. Somehow over the years, Orion has cobbled together his own story about her career. It is a mix of his not listening properly, his not understanding, and his assuming that she is useless. He thinks she runs some kind of small internet business selling some kind of niche craft items and barely making ends meet. She encourages him to think she is both busier and poorer than she really is. Aside from today's more challenging clients, she seldom has to work hard or long and can charge whatever she likes. The thigh boots are a business expense. For tax purposes, she is a domestic therapist, which is true in its own way. Sometimes, when she cannot sleep at night, Cassiopeia imagines kidnapping the jazz cyclist, regardless of how supernatural an entity he might be. She thinks about forcing upon him the kinds of humiliations she plays at with her paying visitors. Cassiopeia is good at pretending to be angry in a professional capacity. This is in no small part because she has found a great deal to be angry about the rest of the time, and it is cathartic to take that out on someone. The people she is really cross with, the jazz cyclist, the neighbour who blocks the pavement with his bins for 2 days every week, everyone who goes to the clothier's arms. These people she has found no way to be satisfactorily cross with in person. But there are 2 disgusting iceberg lettuces at the back of the fridge, and a man with more money than sense is going to help her feel calmer about the late-night jazz intrusions and the 17 hectoring messages from her clearly going insane sibling.